Sup, my people, how na dey now? So I don't carry condom out again. As God don't come out, can't talk. Say it a vex. Well, it a vex. The kind vex where it a vex. Nigeria is a very disgraced country, very very disgraced country. And saying in the vex where whoosh, Oga, calm down. He called us disgrace. He can't add very inside. We never survive for the first disgrace. He can't add very inside. Then Peter Obi too don't come talk about Nnamdi Kanu case and all that. And I say, we could just break down all of this. I'm going to play you a video of what Oga Donald Trump said, not just what he said, and how international media like Fox TV, how they break down the matter the way they happen for Nigeria. But before then, let's get straight to waiting Oga Peter Obi talk concerning the sentencing of Nnamdi Kanu. Well, Oga Peter Obi posted today talking about Kanu's conviction. He said at a time like this, when the president supposed to unite the country, he's supposed to do this, he's supposed to do that. He took and say in the first place, Kanu should not have even been arrested in the first place. Now, people don't come under him tweet. They say, "Ooh, terrorist sympathizer, they sympathize with terrorists." Even Bashir Ahmed, former President Buhari, media, don't come and say, "Oh, the person we talk saying in they proud to be a Muslim extremist. Abi an extremist. Abi something like that." And I talk abi okay. So he don't come and say, "Hey, say me could they not am say waiting Peter Obi talk nothing the different between them and waiting Shegumi they talk say he they sympathize with terrorists." So I can't ask this question. Is it that these people are just delusional or something? I don't understand. Like, tell me, point at what Nnamdi Kanu did that MC Olomo did not do during the election. People died as a result of his utterances during the election. Why has the state not persecuted Nnamdi Kanu, MC Olomo? Is it because he's a Muslim? Because the things and when you talk about no come out, you will saw videos of people going out telling people in streets, don't come out, people beating up people that they thought were Igbo people in Lagos during election. People actually died because of that incident. Tell me why MC Olomo should not be held accountable till today. Is it different? Is it because he's not an Igbo man or because he's a Muslim? So if I'm not saying, okay, oh fine, Peter Obi should not sympathize with Nnamdi Kanu, but then we're talking about injustice. Can MC Olomo also suffer the same fate? Can Sunday Igboho, who also did the same things that he did, when he said they even see gun for in hand, can he also suffer the same fate? How can a terrorist, we don't agree, say in kill a lot of people, get 20 years in prison? 20 years because of the case where government file against them. But Nnamdi Kanu own them put how many count charges? The terrorists, they weren't about 3 or 4 count charges alone. Now they give them. Nnamdi Kanu own a whole 7 count charges. Now they put find and guilty for all of them. Now, so you see, when would they talk about this thing? Say it is selective justice. Now, waiting they make people they talk. Say, it's no good at all. Well, make our kind of inside waiting Donald Trump talk. So for those who they feel say, oh, Peter Obi they sympathize with terrorists, if they do this, if they do that, make you no worry. If you support injustice in any shape or form, it will befall you and your generations to come. Except your generation detach themselves from such injustice. That is what would happen. Any form of injustice where you suffer, where you support it go come to you one way or the other. Life never end for here where we do like this. Now it go so tomorrow now I go say white people they discriminate against her. But now they start to discriminate against her own fellow Nigerian. Yeah. Shebi na the same things and when we say Chowore call for revolution and all that we make Buhari arrest him. Buhari, if Tinubu came into government and declared and entered a nolly prosecute on his case and they release him, why they no fit do the same thing to Nnamdi Kanu? Is it because he's an Igbo man? That's the question where you're supposed to answer. A terrorist will accept say he kill a lot of people, mass killing a lot of people, got only 20 years. 20 years. Now they can't get life imprisonment. And they get mind, they compare them to waiting Shegumi they do, they support terrorists. May God have mercy on you. I'm going to make our kind of inside waiting Oga Donald Trump talk. Go cool down, listen to waiting and talk. Where. And then will they come back?
Nigeria is a disgrace. The whole thing is a disgrace. They're killing people by the thousands. It's a genocide. And I'm really angry about it. And we pay, we give a lot of subsidy to Nigeria. We're going to end up stopping. The government's done nothing. They're very ineffective. They're killing Christians at will. And, until I got involved in it 2 weeks ago, nobody even talked about it.
Well, President Trump is reacting today to what we've been covering for a couple of weeks now, but really leaned in with my panel that I hosted at the UN at the request of Ambassador Michael Waltz, and he also invited superstar rapper Nicki Minaj, because she has a pastor who's Nigerian and has jumped into this as an advocate for those under attack. Horrific violence in Nigeria against mostly Christians, and a 3rd mass kidnapping this week alone. So it's getting worse under President Tinubu over there. In this attack, gunmen targeted a Catholic school just days after that attack on a Christian church, Islamic terrorists in Nigeria. There are now 22 of those groups, including Boko Haram, and some of them are aligned with ISIS. They are targeting Christians and have been for years. Some experts, as well as the president, are saying that the mass slaughter needs to be contained. And you heard him here. The government now over there has to do something about this. I joined U.S. Ambassador Waltz for an event on the crisis earlier this week.
I served in Nigeria helping train their Navy SEALs for hostage rescues and to go find these girls. And Harris, it is horrific what is happening to them right now. We were able to get many of them back, but not all of them. And as a father of a daughter, it's just horrific to think little girls, 8, 9 years old, being kidnapped out of their schools and sold into Islamic sex slavery.
Senior Foreign Affairs correspondent Greg Palcott has the latest. Greg.
Hi, Harris. That's right. More violence in Nigeria. Christians again under fire. A Catholic secondary school in the town of Gwara in northwestern Nigeria attacked by gunmen. Local media says as many as 52 kids were kidnapped. A desperate search involving military and police is on right now. And yes, earlier this week, a Catholic church nearby was attacked. 2 people were killed and 38 worshipers abducted. The ransom per person, $69,000. Thousands of Christians have been killed in recent years there, leading some, yes, to speak of a Christian genocide. President Trump has branded Nigeria a country of particular concern regarding religious freedom, threatening to apply sanctions and send in U.S. troops. Here's how a State Department official put it at a congressional briefing yesterday.
The Trump administration is developing a plan to incentivize and compel the Nigerian government to better protect Christian communities and improve religious freedom.
Still, the Trump administration and analysts say others are getting hurt, too, by Islamist terrorists, organized bandits, militants. 25 children were kidnapped at another school in western Nigeria on Monday. 1 escaped. That happened in a Muslim area. Harris, Nigerian officials claim they are not persecuting any religion, but many analysts say at the very least they are certain that the government officials are not protecting their own citizens. Back to you.
Yeah, and as we've been pointing out, it's mostly young girls and women, and that's what we saw in that church. And those new numbers are just heartbreaking. How many more people were kidnapped and killed in that church attack that we showed this week? Greg, thank you very much for the update.
Now, when I don't hear the perspective of the international media, apart from waiting Trump talk, Trump, they vex. Well. What is the next move going to be like? The U.S. Department of War talks, say they in talks with Nigerian government, say our government, they cooperate. And I did ask this question yesterday. When they say they're cooperating, is it that the government has eventually agreed that it's indeed a Christian genocide? And there is indeed a signness that is one inside plan to do something bad for inside Nigeria. Because if you listen to the interview where Reverend Laddie Thompson gets with Adeola today, you would be very terrified about Nigeria as he break down all the things we get to do with insecurity for Nigeria. And he even went as far as exposing that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu had a deal with these terrorists before he became president, because there's no way he would become president without striking a deal with him. And then that takes me back, or perhaps took me back to waiting. I'll get catch on and don't talk for this our show several times. Talk say now the CPC wing of the APC Buhari people say now them rig election for President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. If you look at that thing, we want to come and talk say now waiting happen during the election, way happen for INEC. He said they just switch off server. So if you look at that, you can't marry, you can't say, okay, CPC wing rigged election, and that CPC wing waiting can happen, he strike a deal with them. What could the deal be? Because you remember that interview, that attack for inside Plateau State, where make a new central television girl cry for TV, cry. Till today, president never react to about 25 people or 27 people died. The presidency never replied, never talk, say, oh, he never talk anything about. Not that one, one of many other killings. So if you say the president need to react, so perhaps the president don't tire to talk about those things. But then again, what does all of this mean at a time like this? Because people they see that the Jonathan treatment they won't give up. Maybe now wait to make person like Buba Galadima come and talk. Say, me president, not even worry, no matter how you take do if you like, make everybody join your party, you know go win. So people say, is the president just so fixated in his 2027 campaign and election? that he's not even worried about the lives of Nigerians, or if you say them, then they renege on the deal when get with them, so he himself not saying their deal. What is really going on? If they actually had a deal based on what Reverend Ladis Thompson said, what is really going on? But let's go straight to Congressman James from Michigan and hear the way when you break down Nnamdi Kanu case and how this Nnamdi Kanu case they don't use them amplify the persecution in the column of Christians for inside Nigeria. The way he used analyzer, oh, this man had to not defend himself, and this is the example of how Christians they suffer for Nigeria. They face injustice, because people who think that this is not injustice, excuse me, MC Olomo made statements that led to the death of people and attack of people during election. Please, has MC Olomo been called today? Is it because he's a Muslim? That's the question. Has MC Olomo been called today, or is it because he's a Muslim? They see arms for inside the same things and when they accuse what did they call him Nnamdi Kanu of doing, and the same thing when they accuse and now same thing Igboho do. Why was Igboho freed? In fact, Nigerian government not even hold case against Igboho. Now Benin Republic they arrest him. Nigerian government not even file a case against him. So why is Nnamdi Kanu's case different? For those accusing Peter Obi that he talked about it, why is Nnamdi Kanu's own case different? That is the case. That is the question. People, when they ask this question or when they talk all this one, say Peter Obi talk this one, you not talk this one, do they consider all of that? Do they consider that? Well, let's go and listen to that Congressman James, and then listen carefully with understanding to what's in talk. All right, so they come back.
We are joined by the former chairman of the Africa Subcommittee, who is now over at the Energy and Commerce Committee, James, and I want to thank him. February of 2024, he had a very important hearing on Nigeria and other advocacy throughout that time. So the floor is yours.
Mr. Chairman, thank you so much for your personal invitation, for your leadership, and for your friendship. I'm honored to be back. Psalms 96:14 asks, "Who will rise up for me against the wicked? Who will take a stand for me against evildoers?" Nigeria is facing one of the gravest religious freedom crises in the world. As the former chairman of the House Foreign Affairs Committee on Africa, I have visited and have seen firsthand the direness of the conditions in what is now the deadliest place on earth to be a Christian. They are targeted, displaced, and killed simply for their faith. The ancient plea, "Is there no help for the widow's son?" still echoes today. Since 2019, nearly 17,000 Christians have been killed. In the first 7 months of this year alone, hundreds more were murdered. On June 13th, during the Yellowwater massacre, more than 280 Christians were slaughtered in a single day. These are not isolated tragedies, but a sustained pattern of religiously motivated violence, often ignored or even enabled by the Nigerian government. Extremist groups like Boko Haram, Fulani militants, and ISIS West Africa attack often without any meaningful intervention from authorities. The lack of response has created an atmosphere of impunity where Christians continue to live in constant threat and fear. The United States has previously recognized this crisis. President Trump not only designated Nigeria as a country of particular concern during his first term, but redesignated it again in his second term after President Biden inexplicably removed that designation. Religious persecution is tied to political repression and weakening institutions in Nigeria. Example, the detention of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is a clear example. In 2022, Nigeria's Court of Appeal struck down the charges against him and ordered his release. The UN Working Group on Arbitrary Detention has also called for his unconditional release. Yet he remains in solitary confinement, in deteriorating health, and recently had to represent himself in court. Nigeria has signaled that the law is optional and targeting Christians is fair game. Just hours ago this morning, despite the pleas and cries of the Nigerian people and many Nigerian lawmakers, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu was convicted on all charges. For fiscal year 2025, the U.S. has requested nearly $8 billion for sub-Saharan Africa. But when Americans see political prisoners, judicial defiance, and the slaughter of Christians, they understandably ask as they meet their own struggles, why should our tax dollars support governments that refuse to protect their own people? Is our aid aiding a genocide? Nigeria is a nation of tremendous potential, but that potential is being choked out by violent persecution of its Christian population. No country can build a stable future where churches are burned, believers are killed, and communities live in fear. The United States must stay engaged, and Nigeria must change course now. Mr. Pratt, a direct question. Do you believe, in your professional assessment, that the government of Nigeria has been infiltrated by jihadists?
I do not believe that the government of Nigeria has been infiltrated by jihadists.
Okay, because when you look at the selective enforcement of the rule of law, one might question if there are any favoritism or looking the other way when groups are being specifically targeted, despite the fact, as my colleague Mr. Moore mentioned, not enforcing the rule of law with regard to weapons. My next question, how has the Nigerian government reacted since President Trump's country of particular concern designation announcement?
They have taken the designation very seriously. There is a senior delegation here now. They will meet with the most senior officials of the U.S. government this week. And we have already demarched the government in Abuja and here in Washington on the action plan. And I can say that the results so far have been positive in terms of cooperation.
The Nigerian government needs to do more to address this issue themselves, but what measures are being taken to assist Nigeria to increase its focus on persecution, particularly in the Middle Belt?
Yeah, so thank you for your question, Congressman James. As you mentioned, the Middle Belt is a particular concern. That's where Christians, you mentioned Yelawada, where 250 or 280 Christians were killed, massacred. They were targeted because they were Christians. Churches have been burned there. There have been internally displaced people there. And so we're reviewing all options at the State Department, including Chairman Smith, you mentioned in our bureau, we have Global Magnitsky Act sanctions. We have other tools at our disposal as well to make sure that Nigeria, the Nigerian government gets the message that we are serious about the persecution of Christians and other communities as well, but particularly Christians right now who are suffering disproportionately in the Middle Belt.
Thank you for your answer, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for having me again. God bless you, and good luck. I'm here for you.
Thank you so very much, Chairman James, and thank you again for your great service.
Well, and I don't hear all the things that happen, and I don't hear the way. Don't tell me to interpret it in the congressman talk. In fact, if you feel them and you get it, you get it, get it. If you don't get it, forget about it. But drop your thoughts and comments here if you get it. If you don't get it too, please ask questions under the comment section. I'll see you guys later in the day. I love you so much. Remember to protect your mental health. Take care. Bye.